What's up, Crash It Nation? This is Jonathan Wood. This is episode number 38 on the Crash It podcast. We thank everybody for joining us, for listening in, for all the support that we're receiving on Spotify and YouTube. We thank all the feedback that we're getting. We really appreciate it. Tonight on the podcast, we are featuring none other than the driver of the S-2 machine, David Shaw. He's going to be joining us on the podcast. He's on the phone with us now, and we get to hear all about his story and all about that. So we got a big week in the Demolition Derby world coming up. We are going to have the Capital City Carnage that's coming up this March 3rd and 4th. For everybody that's tuning in on the live stream right now, they're getting to see, the Capital City Carnage, the pamphlet or the brochure of that event. Looks like the street stock weld is going to have 75 cars, $6,000 to win, 3-2. And then there's 5 one and done features for the limited weld. We're going to have a 35 car max, 10,000, 5,000, 3. And then the weld compacts are 2,500, 1,700. We're going to have front wheel drive hobos, two-man extreme, full size mods, hobo minivans, and the youth front wheel drive. We have a ton of cars from mid-Missouri going out there. This personally is one of my favorite times of the year. One of my favorite times of the year, just to see all the different builds that are going on. I kind of was looking at Smashed It. These are from their Smashed It page. They're the promoter putting on Capital City Carnage. There's a lot of good builds that are being posted up. And it's always fun to see all the extreme builds that we get to see leading up to a show like this. And all the local guys are excited, and it's just awesome to see. And as you can see in the video right now, there's just all kinds of awesome builds. Jacob Prusman's cars looking really good. And we can't wait to see all them guys out there this weekend. This week, we had our Smashing Cancer Demolition Derby on February 25th. That was this weekend at the Mower County Fairgrounds. It was an awesome show to put on and to watch that. It was just an awesome show. Some hard-hitting actions. Them drivers got out there and drove hard for the fans, and that's just something we like to see. Also, the Pasco County Fair, I believe it's down in Florida. Oh, yeah, it's in Florida. They had a really good show, too. The arena was a little smaller than I'd like, but them drivers still got out there and stood on it. Awesome show to watch, and we thank all the drivers that showed up for that and put on all the shows for the fans. We had some sad news this week come down. The Demolition Derby world lost personally like an idol to the sport, a legend to the sport. Bobby Brockway passed away this week, and Track Shot Live. He was a big part of Track Shot Live family, and the first time I seen Bobby Brockway on the track was, I believe, the 2011 Blizzard Bash, and he actually was he was on the winning team that year. He is well known for his wagon builds and just anything he drove the wheels off of it. And then after, his success on the track, it just married right over to his success with Track Shot Live. And that's just going to be a huge blow for the Demolition Derby world. And we're going to miss him. So our thoughts and prayers are with the Brockway family, the Track Shot Live family, just all his friends and families. They're going through a tough time right now. Just unexpected loss right there. So this week, our topic of discussion is drive local, and just the importance that it is to drive local at your local shows, just as much as trying to branch out and to drive at the bigger shows. And it's always fun for me to watch our local guys here branch out and just see, they show up each and every show. There's that group of guys that just show up and you can count on to be at all the shows that are local. And those are, the kids that are around here that don't get to go to those big shows. They're their idols. They're the ones that they see on the track each and every time. And uh, it's just important to keep the sport going by driving local, because if every person we've had on the podcast, that we've talked to, they're either got into Demolition Derby by, a family member getting them into it, a friend getting it to them, but you don't hear them saying, I got into Demolition Derby because of Blizzard Bash or something, like a national level show. It's always something local that got them their first interest. And that's something that, that is just important to the Demolition Derby world. We're going to take a quick commercial break. The chat's going to be open, and this will be a good time to, if you have any questions or anything, you can get on the Facebook or the YouTube live and ask a question, or if you want us to talk about anything, we're going to be talking about just the importance of driving local. And then we're going to have David Shaw's story. I get to hear about how he started and his journey through the Demolition Derby world, and what he's got going on this year and coming up. So let's see here, get the commercial going here.
Lucky Sevens Promotions is a premier motorsport promotion company specializing in demolition derby and figure eight racing. We've got over 20 years of motorsport entertainment under our belts. We are a driver's first organization. We strive to put on the most competitive, fair, and fun experience for drivers while still providing a fun and engaging experience for our fans. If you are interested in bringing motorsport entertainment to your event venue, please contact Lucky Sevens Promotions. We will be thrilled to discuss various entertainment options we can provide. Check us out on Facebook and LuckySevensPromotions.com. Lucky Sevens is always willing to add to our array of sponsorship partners. If you are in any way interested in becoming an advertising partner, do not hesitate to contact our staff. We would be happy to assist you in creating an excellent marketing venture for your company. We have a vast portfolio of sponsorship packages to fit any budget. So if you're looking for a fun, family-filled activity, check out Lucky Sevens Promotion. It's a show that you will not want to miss. 2022 was a smashing success. We ask that you join us in making 2023 even bigger and better. See everybody in 2023. Ray's Lawn and Landscaping. We offer affordable full lawn care services with landscaping, from simple mowing to designing your dream lawn. Let us do the work so you can enjoy your time during the spring, summer, and fall months. When it's cold and snowy outside, give us a call for all your snow removal services to help keep your family or your customers safe. Don't break your back or your bank. Residential or commercial property, give us a call. We are fully insured for your safety and ours. Ray's Lawn and Landscaping is located in Eldon, Missouri. Give us a call, like us on Facebook. From the driveway to the flower beds, the grass in between. At Ray's Lawn and Landscaping, we have the experience, the staff, and the equipment to get the job done right the first time. For your next project or facelift to your property, give Ray's Lawn and Landscaping a call today.
All right, we're back. Dustin Jordan said his favorite part of Carnage is because he just knows that the Demolition Derby and figure eight season here locally is getting ready to start, and that just he uses Capital City Carnage as his time to, get ready. Once it comes, it's time to start bearing down on his builds and getting ready for the next season. And one thing I wanted to mention, the importance of driving locals, not only just for the fans. There's so many local fairs that, they do okay throughout the week, but they kind of rely on their Demolition Derby or, their their events to carry them, the people that are coming to the events. So it's not just the drivers. It's bring your friends, your families, because it's important to get them stands packed because all the money goes back to them fair boards, and it gets, it just keeps the community going. Um, David, you got anything you want to add for just the importance of driving local or branching out? Just like your thoughts about it.
I mean, just like anything to me, I mean, try to keep small businesses and everything local anyways. I mean, Derby's still a business, and so do the fairs. I mean, might be a hobby in a lot of people's eyes, but it takes a lot of money for this hobby. That's for dang sure.
Yeah, any motorsport hobby you get into, you better be willing to break out the wallet because it's definitely pricey, and anything you get into, really. Heck, we had a guy on here a few months ago. He was talking about all the money he spends getting his fishing boat ready for fishing season. So I guess it's probably in anything you do. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
if you want to do it all the way, you want to do it right, it's going to cost some money. So how'd you get started with Demolition Derby?
Well, I mean, whenever I was growing up, I watched my dad and all his brothers. They were all running around. Me and their kids always played around and shit like that. And then when my dad quit derbying, I never really seen them guys again, and started the working at a factory, and ran into one of the kids I grew up around derbies with, and he's like, "You need to get a car. I've been running for a few years." And I said, "Well, you find me a cheap car." Well, one of our bosses, he had one for $150, and I had no clue what in the hell I was doing. It was an AMC Eagle wagon, and I had to run with the full size. I was scared shitless my first derby. But basically watching my dad, and then my buddy's one that initially got me into it.
And so your dad ran demolition derbies?
Yep, for years. For as long as
Where did he run it?
in Illinois, he basically just ran a lot of local shows around central Illinois.
And how long have you been derbying for?
This will be my 15th year.
Yeah, and so 15 years, and I mean, I
Well,
didn't really know. I didn't
it's
know.
15 years on and off, I guess. It's because everybody's got to sell out at least once or twice.
Oh yeah, yeah. I didn't even know you like ran full size until we started talking. I believe it was last year at a derby. You said you had an 03 or something
Yeah,
that like a full size, and then I got kind of like got on your Facebook page and was looking through some pictures and stuff. And for the ones that are watching live, I've got some just old pictures of your, some of these full size builds that I had no clue about up here. So have you ran predominantly full size cars, or is it the mixture of full size and gut and goes?
most of them's all been big cars, and then I had a buddy that I ended up meeting along the way, and I ran a Camaro 1 year and in a weld compact class. And then other than that, if I would find a cheap gut and go, it's the adrenaline rush out on the track. That picture right there, the old boy wanted $400 for that car. And I said, "Man, that thing's rusty." I said, "I'll give you $150." And somehow I was able to bring that one for $150. And it wasn't that bad. The ass was a little rusty, but not horrible.
Heck yeah. So you can see the picture I got on the screen?
Yep.
Oh, nice. What kind of car is that?
It's a 60. I think that was my 68 Newport.
I was thinking something along the lines of that. That's awesome. So where did S-2 come from? Your number? Do you have a story behind it, or is it just something you've thought of? Or
My buddy told me he was going to order that roof sign for me. I just had to pay for it. and he ordered the roof sign for me and built me a set of header caps. He said, pick an easy number, don't pick something long. And he's T2, so I just went along with it because Dad used to Derby, and they actually have the family deal going where their dad's T1, T2, and then T3 is his other brother. Well, I just said, screw it. I'll just pick S2, I guess. Dad used to Derby.
Heck yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. So when my dad was first getting into circle track racing, his first number was J2, and it was kind of the same thing. They had his name was Jack, started with the J, and he was the second son, so that's how he came up with J2. And it's just always cool to see all the different ways people come up with their numbers. Back when we started, we didn't really know what numbers we'd start, so we just started. We like the number 7. Every one of us likes the number 7, so we just went 7, 17, 27, 37, all the way up to, I think we had 107 at one time, so we had 11 cars out there. That's just the way we always did it too. But
I'm starting to think that number's cursed, as in stuck in second, because I've never got anything over a second place trophy.
maybe that's what it stands for, stuck in second.
I'm thinking so. It's time to retire, I think.
So when you first started derbying, as the builds, have you seen like changes in the builds, or is it all about the same, or have you seen the evolution where it's, it started stock, it went to more of a mod, then it came back a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, whenever I first started, you really couldn't do much to the cars unless you got by with it. And I mean, I never really looked at cars. I just did what I wanted to. And then, I mean, it ended up getting to where cars started getting expensive. So then I started building my car better. And then, I mean, my last few runs was mainly like a pro mod and stuff like that, where I was plated from front to back.
So you're cheating.
No. That's the class. It's easier to run a car all year long than it is build 10 of them.
I'll bet. Yeah, the gut and goes, we seen you in a few different ones last year. How many gut and goes did you go through last year?
Man, well, I had that Honda, and then the Buick, Pontiac. I had one that I couldn't get running, pulled it out of the garage after an hour and a half of trying to get it running, and sold it. And then that Explorer 4, right?
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
And one of them, whenever Toby Chapman ran up there in Eldon with me, that car I built in 3 days just so he could run with me up there.
Is that the one that you got the Mad Dog in?
No, that was the fall show right there before Versailles. And then I took it to Versailles and ran in it, and then didn't do worth shit because the computer was acting up. And then that's whenever I let the girls run them in Russellville, and found out that there was a ground wire that got cut that kept tripping the computer. And so whenever my daughter got third, Dad was in there sitting there running a code reader, erasing code so it'd stay running.
Heck yeah, that's the way to do it. I remember you kind of telling the story about, so in Russellville, for everyone that's listening, we had like a youth demolition derby at the end of the year for the Lucky Sevens promotions, and David's daughters came up there, and I remember you having the code reader in the car with you, and you were clearing codes as it was going on, and how you were talking about that after the derby. And that's just blows my mind thinking about all that. So talk about that for a minute. So were you just in there constantly clearing codes so the car would keep running, or how'd that play out?
Oh, you can tell, right? I mean, it would go, I'd have to erase them probably every minute. and when she'd hit the gas, it would just be in limp mode and barely want to move. So I'd hurry up in the race codes, and then it would just take off again. And I found that out the day before the Derby that what was causing it, because, whenever I bring them home, I always take my cables off and everything else. So that resets the computer every time. And then we got the cars ready like 2 nights before, so we wasn't having to work on them, and went to load them up, and neither one of them was wanting to run. So I told my wife, because she rode with my other daughter, I said, well, if your car starts running like crap, wave us over and we'll try to hurry up and throw you the code reader if we got to. Luckily, we never had to do that. But
So when you're preparing a car, do you have a favorite part of the build, or is there a part of the car that you spend more time on than the rest of the car?
I mean, majority is I make sure I got a good cage in there, and then I definitely concentrate on making sure my drive line's in there right, the way I want it, running great. Other than that, I just like running them. The building's not fun anymore.
So we had Tommy Stark on here, and we've had a lot of good drivers and builders on here throughout the years. Are you one of those those people that go through their car and check every nut and bolt, or is it just something that you do it once and you hope you got it right, or you feel like you got it right so you don't go back and double check, triple check your work?
No, I mean, I've like the cars I built this winter for Spring Explosion this coming year. I went through and had the rules sitting right here. Anything I would do to the car, I would read the rules and see exactly what it said. And if it didn't really pertain to my build, I would somehow get that rule involved into my build.
Yeah, that's important. You can't leave any area left unturned in the sport of demolition derby. I've always said, there's derbies that are won on the track, but there's also derbies that are won off the track in the shop. And I'm a firm believer in that. It's the ones that put in the time and the effort in the shop. And, you still have to drive the car, but the ones that you see putting in the most work and effort in the shop are usually the ones that are there at the end.
Yeah, normally. I mean, I felt like this past summer, I was putting quite a bit of time into. They were just gut and go cars, but these, like I was saying before we got on the show here, friggin' all the gut and go cars. I had Vince McGee come over the other day and wire this car up because I've never ripped a dash out. Heck, before whenever I started stripping, I said, "Are you sure I can take this dash out?" He said, "Yes, man, trust me." I said, "Well, I'm just nervous because they've always started on the key for me." And the gut, you can't do much too. Just basically make sure you have a good bumper on there and be ready to go for anything.
Oh, yeah, and that's the way I was helping Joshua strip out his Carnage car I think it was a week or two ago, and we got to the dash and he handed me a grinder and said, "All right, just start cutting all them wires out of there." And I was like, "Are you sure you don't need any of these wires?" He goes, "Nope, I don't need any of them. Just cut them all." And I was just like, "Yep, this will be the doom of this car."
Oh, yeah, that's what I was thinking the whole time, but we got it fired up Friday night.
So does your mindset change when you're building for a show like the caliber of Spring Explosion compared to a local show? Do you build those cars a little more, or is it kind of the same process, just with a different set of rules? Or
I try to build. There's times that I'll do something extra to where I hope they see this and I got to cut that, instead of saying something else that might have been done. But normally I try to build straight to the rules, and I dissect the rules just to make sure that I'm not missing any part of the rules. If there's something, like I'm building a Chrysler right now, if there's something that kind of leans toward the Fords, I'll just put a question mark by it, and then I'll go back to it until I'm ready for that, and I'll try to figure out a way.
Awesome. So we've talked about building a car. So when you pull up to a track, to a demolition derby, are you one of those drivers that has a plan before you go to the show, or does it depend on who shows up to the show, or does it depend on just the variables of like track conditions or what happens during the derby?
For me, well, there like whenever I first started derbying here in Missouri, after I ran down in Richland, and then Josh got a hold of me and he said, "Hey, you're second in points." I said, or it was after the Eldon, because then I got Mad Dog and Eldon. But whenever I went to Eldon to run, my mindset there, I didn't. Whoever got in my way, I was junking. Yeah, I was going for Mad Dog, and that was it. And I was trying to junk that car. I didn't have a plan in sight, and ended up pulling off second and Mad Dog. And then whenever I started, I mean, after I got up there in second points, Kurt, I kind of was going point a target on, but then I walked up to him at the driver's meeting one day. I said, "Dude," I said, "I think there's enough people out here." I said, "I'm not even going to mess with you." And I only think I hit Kurt one time after I even told him that. And that's just respect kind of thing. To me, I mean, I told him I'd leave him alone. I said, whoever gets to the first is the first, I guess. And I started getting nervous, but then my wife kind of reminded me, because like Sean Lackey, he started catching up to me in points. And my wife's like, earlier this year when you first started derby, you just went there to have fun. Now you're trying to get first, and now look at you, you're not having no luck. I said, all right, time to just go play, I guess.
Yep, that's what it's all about. And it's hard though whenever you start the year, you're not chasing points or anything like that. And then, halfway through the year, you might look around and say, "Holy crap, I'm in second. I got a chance at this." And then I feel like as a driver, you kind of put more pressure on yourself sometimes and than you should. And I mean, that goes for the guys that are in the figure eight sport. I mean, heck, I did the same thing whenever we were driving all the time. Yeah, we'd always be checking them points races just to see where we were, and we'd have little brotherly competitions, and no one wanted to lose to the other brother. And
Nope.
So, or if you had a good friend on the track, I mean, we had some good friendly rivalries throughout the years, and I think that's good. Like on the track stuff, off the track, we were all friends, but you could tell. I mean, every year we see it the figure eight, the ones that are running up front, there's always a rivalry that just takes place throughout the year. Anytime you have like a points race going on, and that's kind of something we see in the figure eight and the demolition derby world. Because if you got a guy ahead of you, I mean, there might be times that you try to take them out. But I was kind of, I was wondering, I was glad you mentioned that, because when you were talking about how you and Kurt kind of never really hit each other, we were wondering if we were going to see you guys go after each other or not, and we never really seen that out of that class. So
Nope, I ended up just telling him, I said, "Mate, I came here, I planned on going on nothing but you." I said, "But there's a lot of cars here, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of people on both of us." So, and then
yeah.
after that was in Mocane, where I told him that, and then the next night he ran in Vienna, and he pulled in there, and I was just there watching, and I seen he had a passenger seat. I said, "Hey, man, care if I ride with you?" He said, "Go pay the entry fee." I said, "Okay."
How'd that go?
No, it's pretty
Wasn't
fun. Yeah, I told him afterwards, I said, "I don't know how you can stay level headed in these things. Just whenever the wrong hit comes, that's what just, I don't like driving slow. It's normally I'll try it, but it don't ever work out for me."
Yeah, so you're one of them drivers that kind of get bored out there after a while. Is
Yeah,
it
don't.
is it when someone hits you that it's go time? Like if you take a shot that you weren't expecting, is that like, all right, you done it now type of mindset?
This past year I ran Sedalia, and there was a couple boys from Clinton. I can't remember their last names. But they were there, and Toby Chapman was there with me, and me and him talked before. We had another guy running with us. We was just going to go down and play around in the corner. Well, it wasn't 30 seconds or a little later than that. Here they came, and they pushed us out of the corner so we didn't just stay down there and play around with each other. And next thing I know, I go to the other end of the track, and one of them just waxes me. And the rest of the night, I ended up playing cat and mouse. I tried to get my licks in when I could, but did not let them keep track shotting me. They were pretty rough.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's your favorite shot to give when you're out on the derby track? What do you have a certain shot that you just look for, or when it comes that you're just like, yes, that's my favorite?
Well, my favorite ones ain't always the best ones, but I love going head on. So sometimes it works out, sometimes it don't.
Heck yeah. So do you have like a couple memories that stick out in your head on like just driving experiences? Like, do you have any memorable moments that you mind sharing with us?
Well, like one of them, I rode with a buddy. It wasn't me being the driver; I was riding, but I had a buddy in a pickup truck, and it came down to me and him, and then one of his buddies, and until whoever's truck went out, we just did nothing but head-on shots. It took about 3 of them, and then our motor and tranny tried going out of the course port. And then the only other one I had was whenever I was running pro mods, I went down to Southern Illinois and ran against the Death Wagon. I don't know if you guys around here have heard of it, but it was nothing but tubed cage on the inside, and then he had spacers coming out, and instead of sheet metal at first, he had square tubing on the outside of the car also. And me and a buddy, we went down there, and I said, dude, it's going to be rough. Well, that wagon ended up nosing up on me right at the gate. And right as soon as they dropped the flag, I made the stupid mistake of going head up with him, man. Ended up messing my knee up. My knee was jacked up for like 2 weeks, and somehow my knee hit the cage bar or the dash bar, and I have no idea how, because I was in a 5-point harness.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, it was a rough one.
So do you ever get nervous as a rider? It sounds like you've been in the passenger seat a few times. You kind of have no control as a rider. Does the driving instinct take over where you're like Tommy Stark? He was on here. He's talking about how he's just calm in the car as a passenger too, or does it kind of make you nervous as a rider? We've had some riders that are energetic as all get out on here. What's your aspect of the riding? Do you just sit there and ride around, or are you a helpful person in the car? Or?
It all really matters on who's driving, really. I mean, I rode with one buddy, and it was guaranteed every time I rode with him, by the end of the derby, I was holding his battery box for him because it would always rip out of the floorboards. And then there's another buddy that I was the energetic one. I mean, I had my arm out, fist bumping the whole dang time, helping him see shots that he don't see. And then I was, after we pulled out on the track, I don't know if it was because of me or my daughters being in the car with me, but riding past with my daughters, I was pretty nervous. I was just about as nervous then as I was my first derby.
So you've been in a lot of derbies over your years. Do you have a favorite atmosphere? Like just the whole aspect of the atmosphere of the derby that you like to take in the whole show as it is, that sticks out in your mind?
Well, back in Illinois, whenever I ran in Illinois all the time, there was one show that I always made sure I didn't miss, and there was no reason in particular, because I mean, They didn't have a payout really. It was 500 for first, and then I think it was 2 for second and 100 for third. But just the atmosphere of that derby, I would go there every year and run. Whether I had $5,000 in my car, $4,000 in my car, whatever it was back then, I would still run for the $500 and normally end up bringing a junk car home. And one time I brought $200 home. But then,
So what about the atmosphere did you like? Was it the crowd, or was it just the on track action, or was it the drivers that you're driving with? Was it the arena? What about it? What about it did you like?
no, I mean, it was laid back. Everybody left everybody alone. Not much drama, really. I mean, the track was a real slick track. So it was, in my opinion, it was pretty fun. It was hard to get going, but once you get going, you better be ready to lock them up because you're going to be sliding forever. It was just a fun track in general to run on.
Heck yeah. So what makes Demolition Derby special to you? Is there something that sticks out about Demolition Derby that makes it just an important part of your life, or?
No, I mean, there at first, it started up whenever I first started out. I was following in my dad's footsteps. And then, I mean, now my dad's even seen the prices of everything on it nowadays. Like, I just don't see how somebody can justify doing it. And I mean, mainly it's the adrenaline rush and the sound of the motors, man. I love just hearing the motors.
Yeah, it's kind of got to make you feel good as a father yourself, that you followed in your dad's footsteps, and now you've got two little girls that believe.
Yeah,
Was
there's
it two or
I got a third one. She's
three?
wanting to do it, but she's going to probably wait another year. She just turned 10, so I told her, I said, maybe when you turn 11, I'll let you. Yeah, I mean, that was a good feeling last year whenever I was just joking around with the girls. I said, hey, girls, there's a youth derby. You want a derby? Yeah. And then, I mean, my oldest daughter, she might have rode with me because she was 16 that day. I don't know. She rode with me in that Explorer in Eldon, and I was a little nervous pulling out on the track with my daughter for the first time, and I kept, anytime we'd get hit hard or we'd make a hard hit, you all right? Yep, let's go, Dad, keep going. So I mean, that's a great feeling. I mean,
Yeah.
the younger ones are what's going to keep the sport alive. So
When they got to build their youth cars, did they come out to the shop and help you any out there? Was it a bonding moment, or did you just build everything yourself and they just got to show up and drive?
well, those two cars there, they were just leftovers that I had for the rest of the year and didn't want to keep them over the winter. So I told them, go out and see if they can junk them. And so all they really, I mean, they came out and helped paint them. And right now I'm building my oldest one a Spring X car, and she's came out here a couple times. I made her help strip it, but no, they normally stay on their cell phones and want Dad to do all the work.
Yeah, they're just in it for the fun time, They
Well,
might not be in it for a long time, but it's gonna be a good time.
Oh yeah, but at Russellville, after the Derby was over, we were strapping them down on the trailer, and I was going to try running that cleanup class in one of them, but one of them busted the tranny, and the other one just said it wasn't going to run anymore. And
Yeah.
so we were strapping them down on the trailer. My middle daughter, she says, Dad, since we junked them, do we get the junk money? I said, well, I didn't see you putting no money in building it. So Dad ended up
We
giving,
junked it, so we get the scrap money too.
yeah, give them the junk money, I guess.
So I kind of got a kick out of the after the trophy presentation and stuff like that. Were you playing a role in the parts they were picking?
Just one of them, because like I said, these gut and goes, I don't really plan on putting much money in, and Dad was wanting a new set of headers, so I was trying to talk one of them to get the new set of headers.
Yeah. I was cracking up because just watching all them little kids get up there and they were all holding their parts up. Was your daughter the one that got the fuel cell or whatever?
One daughter, the one that got third, she got the $200 header voucher, and she wanted a toolbox. And then my oldest daughter, she got a set of battery cables, and I can't remember what else she got. I think she got a coupon or something. I don't remember.
Okay. I just remember one of them kids, they looked like they were about to drop everything because it was too heavy for them. And one of the parents had to jump in and help hold it up for the picture. And I just got a kick out of that. That was my favorite part of the whole night, is just watching them kids go up there and pick out all the parts. And I thought that was just awesome. So what's your plans for 2023?
Well, right now I got a 76 Shocker New Yorker that I'm taking to Spring X. It's 95% done, just the small stuff left. And that's going to Spring X in April. And then I'm also, right after Russellville, my daughter said she wanted to run again next year. So after I told her I was running Spring X, I said, "Do you want to run in the big show?" So right now I'm in the process of building her Illumina for Spring Explosion. And then right after I get her car out of here, I'm going to start in on my round back to take to Border Wars to run with Tommy and the Rays and Sanfords and everything else.
Oh, heck yeah. I didn't know you were on the list.
Yep. And then in September, which the Spring X car and the Border Wars car, if there's anything left of them, that's what I'm hoping. So I don't have to build much more. I hope I can make them last all year. And then in September, I'm doing the couples co-pilot class at Metal Mayhem.
Really?
Yep.
That's interesting. So who's your co-pilot? Who's the co-pilot?
It's got to be your wife or a girlfriend. So I don't have no girlfriend, so my wife's riding with me, and she'll be steering, and I got the pedals.
Heck yeah, I didn't really know the rules on that, because I think that's the same one that I've seen a few other drivers that I met over different states and stuff. They were posting they were taking applications for co-pilots and stuff like that. They might have been just giving their significant others some crap or something like that.
Yeah, but I did the co-pilot one other time with a buddy who went to Redneck Rumble a few years back and did it. It was pretty fun, really, and there wasn't as much communication as I thought there would be.
So what were you, the driver, or did you have the pedals?
I had the pedals that time too, because I told him, I said, well, at first, whenever we started building it, I said, all right, it's your car, my drivetrain. I said, so I get the pedals and you get the wheel. And
Yeah,
he just kept giving me hell about that. He's like, oh, you're just gonna be on the brake all night, blah blah blah. I said, we both drive the same way. And I said, fine, let's do a coin flip. You call it in the air. So we flipped a coin and I still won. So I told him, I said, I'm still taking the pedals.
so let me ask you this: since you had the pedals, did you take the shifter as well?
Yes.
Yeah, I've always got a kick out of watching the 2-man extreme classes and stuff like that, where you have someone in the drivers and the pedals, and you see people trying out different strategies. And man, I watched some guy, man, he was flying down the track, and I guess his buddy had the shifter, because the tires never stopped turning. He just freaking took it from reverse to forward.
Yes,
That thing was flying. I was like, oh, there's no way that guy has the
driver's seat's supposed to have the shifter, but we decided that we was going just let me run the shifter.
Yeah. I guess I guess each would have its own advantages. I mean, if you're wanting to steer, you'd know when you're going forward and when you're going backwards. So, but if it was me, I'd let the person with the pedals definitely do the shifting as well. But that'll be a little transmission friendly, I think. So it sounds like you have some pretty good plans for 2023.
Yep, just hopefully it works out good.
So you're taking you say you're taking a Chrysler to Spring X?
Yes, sir.
What class are you running in Spring X?
The 4-man team show.
Oh heck yeah. Who's on do you have a team or who's on your team, I guess?
Brad Womack, Joe Goodall, and Aaron O'Toole, which Aaron O'Toole's from Central Illinois back home. So
Yeah, that'll be fun. I always kind of get a kick out of watching different driving styles at from different states. And I started like a hard hit highlight reel where I just watch a bunch of videos and people send me videos every week of the nominees for the top hits of the week, and kind of like Sports Center does like their top plays of the day or whatever.
yeah.
But I get a kick out of watching all the different driving styles from different states, because there's definitely some states or areas within a state that drive a lot harder than other areas or other states, and it's just fun to watch. And
Well,
just the way the pace plays out. I mean,
yeah.
maybe that's part of the show, the type of show that they're running. I don't know. I just feel like the pace is different in different states. So you got those states that you can tell everybody's there to money drive, and then every now and then someone will get bored and go make a pretty good shot. And then you got those derbies that the second they drop the flag, everyone's there to put on a show. I was watching one video and I was cracking up because the guy that was driving reminded me a few years ago at Blizzard Bash. There was a driver out there that he would get the whole crowd into it because he would just like start pumping his fist as he's lining someone up for his next shot, and we'd all be cheering for him as loud as we could, and he'd just go put on a full track shot. And there was a guy in the video I just watched the other day doing the same thing, and I was just cracking up because it reminded me of that memory. And anyone that was in the whole section, they know what I'm talking about right now, because that guy, he left an impact on that whole section, I guarantee.
No, I'm sure. Yeah, we seen the drivers list there a couple weeks ago, so we instantly started messaging each other. And I mean, there's like 5 or 6 teams that if we draw, we just said we're there to Derby, so let's at least let them know that we're there, because there's a lot of good drivers coming to Spring X. So
That's going to be a good show. I think there's some other drivers from mid Missouri coming as well. I might have read that wrong. But yeah, that's going to be a fun show to watch, and we're looking forward to seeing you out there. We wish you luck on that for sure, and we wish you luck on 2023. Before we get you off here, do you have anyone you want to thank, or any sponsors you want to thank for allowing you to do what you do, or anyone at home you want to thank?
I mean, I gotta lay it where it lies first. I mean, I gotta thank my wife for putting up with the crazy hobby. So, I mean, I'm in the shop a lot, and she don't necessarily always like it, but when it comes down to the day of Derby, she's out there to support me 100%. So, I mean, first off her, and then I'd like to thank Rough Water Dock. I mean, all my cage material, I get it from them. They sponsor me the cage material, and they've been to a few of the shows last year to be there to support me, and a lot of coworkers have. And then a lot of the Eldon drivers. I mean, the way they just walked up and took me in, I mean, Henry Ray, he's gave me a few parts whenever I asked for it, and not want nothing for it. And Tyler, he's doing the same thing. And Destin and Brad, they just did some wheels for me. So a lot of help out there.
Yeah, and that's so important um, to the demolition derby world, and to a driver, just having a community behind you, and first and foremost for getting support for your wife. I mean, that helps tremendously. There are some drivers out there that, you know, their wives just don't really support the hobby, and they're not really there for them. And I mean, that's got to be rough on them drivers, because I mean, having the support at home, it's super important to me, and I'm sure it is to you as well, and to probably most people that listen to this podcast. It's important. It's important to have support at home, and then to have a group of guys that take you in, or at least, you know, share some pointers with you here and there, or, you know, be just someone to hang out with and talk to at the track. I mean, that's just important.
And I'd also like to thank the two guys that are normally always out in the shop with me. I mean, one of them rode a few times this year. His name's Lee. And then they both work with me at Rough Water. And I mean, they're over here at my house almost anytime I ask them to tell them I need help or something like that. They're here on phone calls.
I gotta ask about
And
Rough Water. Gotta ask about Rough Water real quick. So do they give you actual steel, or are they giving you like the galvanized stuff that you have to grind off before you can even weld on it? Or
No, we get all our stuff from like CWD Dam Steel, and
okay.
it comes black.
Yeah, I don't know if you know James Fisher, but he's a figure eight driver we have, and every car I've seen him build, that guy's using galvanized steel for his cage. And he sends me Snapchats, and every year I'm just like, gosh, dang, how much time does this guy spend grinding just to get these cages in? Because he uses galvanized steel on all his cars,
I
and it just,
couldn't
I'm
imagine.
like, dang.
I mean, most of my cages are built out of our scrap wreck tube that are like 6 foot long, and we can't do nothing with. So, I mean, it sits in a pile outside.
Hey, you ready for some rapid fire questions before we get you off here?
Oh, I guess.
Do you have any superstitions or any like pre-derby ceremonies that you do? Like any rituals or anything, like, you know, anything that you have to do before every derby?
I'll drink a couple beers right after I get the car loaded before I ever take off, just to calm the nerves.
Do you have a favorite driver?
I like watching. I mean, I like watching a lot of the bigger names, like a couple of them that I'll be running against at Spring X. Ryan Durham, he's from Indiana, and then Chad Weir. Those two guys, they get on pretty good. So,
Look, yeah, those guys can drive anything they get into. They're awesome drivers.
You can't forget the local crazy guy, the old Mad Dog Henry Ray.
Oh yeah, man, he's popular. It's probably, you know, his driving style, but I think it's just the type of person he is too. I mean, that guy does anything for anyone. So,
Oh, and we were sitting with his mom and brother at the last Eldon show, and my daughter was sitting with me, and she's like, "Dad, I really hope that W10 does really good." And I said, "Well, me too, babe." I said, "We're sitting right next to his brother and his mom." "Oh, really? That's awesome." So then, like that next derby, Henry made a hoodie. So They gave me one also.
Oh, nice. Kind of lost you for a second. I'm making sure I got. Can you hear me?
Yep, I'm here.
If you could induct one driver into the Demolition Derby Hall of Fame, who would it be?
No shit. I'd have to say my dad. A lot of people might not know him, but I've watched him junk a lot of shit. And I mean, there's been cars that were rusty. They should have went to the scrapyard, and he's even ratchet strapped a 2x4 to the frame to hold his seat in because the floorboard was gone.
Oh,
done.
man.
Yeah.
If you could give one piece of advice to a rookie driver or someone that's coming into the sport, what piece of advice would you give to them?
Well, first starting out, don't go out there to win. Just go out there and give her hell and have fun.
Yeah, that's what I always say. Just go out there and send it. That's what I tell everybody. So it don't matter. Don't matter how you do. Just put on a show. If you had a favorite, like if you had walk up music, basically like in baseball, and you're pulling into the track, what song's playing when David Shaw, the S-2 machine, pulls into the arena?
No, I'd have to try to find a song, I guess, with the showstopper in it. Other than that, I really have never thought of that.
Hey, and just so everybody's listening, I nicknamed uh David this year the showstopper. And the reason I did, I think I give everybody nicknames pretty much, but man, it seemed like every car he was hitting one of these shows, it was the end of their night after he hit them. He was just out there laying the hammer down, and if he hit you, that's probably where the car was sitting, and that's why I called him the showstopper. He was stopping their show. Now you know why I started calling you that.
No, I kind of figured because I mean it started there after Eldon, and that's what I was going there to do that night. So
Do you have a rival? Like a
no, I try not to have any rivals. I just go out there to have fun and get along with everybody. Really,
you know anyone? Do you? Okay, you can get that in another room. Who do you think's winning the Capital City Carnage street stock class or any of the classes? Do you have a favorite going into this weekend?
well, I know in the compacts one of the Wood Boys got to bring it back home. So other than that, I haven't really paid attention to see who all was driving there.
Yeah, all I can say is I hope someone from Mid Missouri brings back some money. They got a really good shot and all like I mean, there's a good shot all the way up through the list. I mean, you got the Hewer boys, they're running up there. Teddy P's running. And then you got, all the gut and go guys that are running from around here. Kyle Wardenhausen, he's running. He's going to be putting on a show. I guarantee it. Then you have the team BAS, Seth the West Floor,
Yeah.
West Fjord, and all them, and Landon Worthy. They're all going to be putting on a show too. It's just going to be fun to watch. I can't wait to get out there. I mean, I'm trying to find. My wife totaled out her car, so we're working on making sure I have a different way to get there. But
Yeah.
I'll be there one way or another, though.
You got a thumb,
So
don't you? Use it a little bit.
yeah, I got a couple other cars. What's the hardest hit you ever given in your life?
The one that hurt the most was I hurry up and threw a car together and didn't have any brake line in the shop, and it was the night before the Derby. Parts store was already closed, so I didn't even have my brake pedal in there yet. I threw a brake pedal down in there, and I was trying to full track a guy, and he got out of my way, and I smoked a wall. That's the hardest hit I ever give. But at the same Derby, there was we was one of the first ones to pull out on the track, because I like either being the first one on the track or one of the last ones. I don't want to be in the middle. And we was one of the first ones out there, and just watching them all pull on. There was one car. He was in a stock Caprice. I told my buddy, I said, we're going after him, right? Whenever they throw the flag. Well, he never moved off the line. I mean, we shot clear across the track and smoked him and pushed his core sport clear up over his motor.
Heck yeah. Those are that's the way to do it. Do you have a favorite driving surface on the track? Like, do you like a hard track, a soft, like a slick track? Do you like a muddy track?
Slick or muddy, I don't really care much for the dry ones. They hurt too rough. They're too rough. But if I got to, I will. Just because I don't know where the brake pedal's at. So
And is there one way that we could change the sport for the better? Like, is there something that would make Demolition Derby better for you?
nah. I mean, I can't complain about anything really. I mean, I couldn't think of something to even complain about really.
Right. I think that's going to do it for this episode. We thank you very much for coming on the Crashed It podcast. This is episode number 38. We appreciate all the support that we're getting in, all the feedback on the YouTube live chat. We appreciate all the messages that I've gotten throughout this podcast. We wish you the best of luck, David, throughout this 2023 season, and we hope you make some junk, and you put on a show doing it, and you do well at all the shows you go to. So, hey, maybe you can get a first place win.
Oh, that'd be nice. I'll tell you that much. I appreciate you guys having me on here. Appreciate the good luck.
Well, like I always say, go out there and send it.
No, that's what I'll
That's
be
going to
doing.
be the end of episode number 38. Thanks for listening.